Let's get you updated on some of these outside markets here while we have a chance. And in that Dow Jones Industrial Average, we've been watching that with keen interest. Of course, of a lot of trepidation about what may happen between the U.S. and China, and so a little nervousness in the markets. That's understandable. In the equity trade here on the June futures, we have the Dow now down 351 points. So we're now at 25,106. So it's still above 25,000. But kind of taking it on the chin here today as far as the equity values go. And of course, remember, we're in the final trading day here of May. Now, the U.S. dollar index, it had been quite a bit weaker today. In fact, if you're watching at home, you will see the June futures on the dollar index got as low as 97.935, and now they're all the way back up to 98.460. Well, what that means is we went from a loss of a few hundred points to now a gain, if you will, of 88 points to the plus side at 98.470. So a turnaround in the value of the dollar right now. Now, if we go to our corn market, we're still lower on the day, maybe not as low as what we were. We're about a penny off our low, but July corn still down 3. We're at 324.5. December new crop corn down 2 3/4 at 337.5. In the soybean market, we've been watching that one very carefully this week. It continues to fall apart, if you will, from the earlier rally that we had about a week ago, and we have the June soybeans down 8 at 839. It just changed there. And November down 5 3/4 at 850.25. I want to stop at this point and bring in Brian Hoops. He's the president of Midwest Market Solutions, and he joins us right now. Brian, looking at the corn and soybean trade today, that's not necessarily the best way to finish up a month, but is it related to the end of the month?
Yeah, I thought yesterday's rally in the corn was related to the end of the month. The funds had been selling all the month of May, selling corn futures, about 100,000 contracts. And, with the market going sideways, they decided to cover about 25,000 contracts yesterday alone and gave us that 6-cent rally. Now we're seeing, I think the market trying to react to weather forecasts. They've taken some of the rain out of the western part of the forecast up where we have some offices and changed it to a little bit warmer, which is what is desired. Really don't need a lot more rain right at this time. And then for next week, of course, that heat comes in, and the crop is all really starting to respond to the sunshine and to the heat that's coming into the western corn belt. And I imagine if we get next week's forecast to pan out, the crops are really going to emerge quickly. Farmers that are a little bit delayed in planting their crops will get that crop seeded and in the ground, and our emergence will then move at a pretty fast pace, and things will look pretty good, at least for a week to 2 weeks. And, of course, you're going to need more rainfall, but I think the market is treading here, waiting for weekend forecasts to see if this is going to pan out for this next coming week.
Well, now the wheat market turned higher. It was lower early in the day. In July, Chicago wheat now 6 3/4 higher. It's at 521.25, basically about a dime off its earlier low. And in the Kansas City market, you have that July contract 6 3/4 higher. We're at 470 3/4. And Minneapolis spring wheat trade, it's now 3.5 higher at 522 3/4. Is this related to that heat you were just talking about, or is it something else?
Yeah, the winter wheat crop of Kansas City, Chicago is a little bit different stage of the reproduction of corn and soybeans. This crop, needs a little cooler temperatures and some rainfall while it's in the head stage to fully reproduce. The last thing it wants is hot and dry forecasts, and that's what we have. And so we put in a lot of premium yesterday, putting more in ahead of the weekend. Maybe later in the week there could be some shots of rain, and that's keeping this rally in check. But things Sunday night markets will have to reprice based off of the latest weather forecast. But right now the wheat market is going to be the upside leader off of the weather that we are seeing.
And from what I understand, it sounds like the wheat harvest will maybe get up into southern Kansas within the next couple of weeks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that too. Brian, we'll pause right here. We'll come back and we'll take a look at the livestock trade heading toward the weekend right after this. Let's take a look at our livestock trade with help from Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. All right, let's go to the live cattle board and see what the last trades are here. It's been sliding as we go through the day. Well, it looks like maybe it caught a little bit, and now it's starting to rally off its lows a little bit. June live cattle now down 165 at 99.82, but it's still under $100. We have August still under $100 at 98.97. We're down 220 right now, but we had been about 80 cents lower than where we are. In other words, we had touched limit down at one point, believe it or not. In the feeder cattle trade today, we have, we had triple-digit losses across the board, but now it has come off of its lows, and August feeders now down 65 cents at 134.85. September down 77 at 135.47. The most weakness is in those deferred contracts for next fall and next winter. Now, looking at the lean hog trade, things have turned around significantly after being fairly sharply lower. Now we have June lean hogs down only 47 at 56.45. And how about this? Everything else has turned higher now. July lean hogs up 65 at 56.30. August now $1.05 higher. So we go back to Brian Hoops. And Brian, have you heard what has made these livestock trades come off of their lows?
Well, we asked about if end of the month position was affecting the grains. I think it's certainly affecting the livestock markets today, stock market as well. You know, we've been up for most of the entire month of May and seeing a nice correction today on some profit taking. Same thing in the cattle futures. Had a pretty decent run here last week or so. We're seeing a little corrective setback. And then the hogs, which have really pulled back in the last couple sessions, seeing a little bit of a correction again going into the weekend and the end of the month. So there's not a lot of fresh news. Markets, especially in the cattle, watching that cash trade closely because that's really the only positive fundamental that's holding up this cattle market right now.
Interesting stuff. And, of course, we'll have a whole new clean slate when we come back next Monday. And we'll start out with a new calendar month. Brian, thank you for the help. Appreciate it. Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri. Janet, back to you.